Saturn has been associated with Satan. It's thought the word Satan comes from Saturn. Saturn is the sixth planet from the Sun. Saturday is the sixth day of the week. Saturday comes from Saturnus, or Saturn. There's a hexagon, six-sided shape at Saturn's north pole. These 3 points create the 666. From the Ascension Glossary, Saturn's black cube holds a massive tank that acts as a harvesting station for blood sacrifice from human beings in any way imaginable, whether through wars, rituals, crucifixion, martyrdom, suicide, or menstrual. This makes it obvious why Saturn has been long associated with an assortment of blood-worshipping cults. At this point, I'd like to add 2 important disclaimers. 1, this conspiracy is often combined with anti-Semitic connections to Judaism. This video does not make those connections, and it is very possible the connections exist specifically to protect the elites' Saturn Death Cult. 2, while this Saturn Cube Death Cult may seem absurd to some, the significance is not that you believe it, but the fact that some elites actually do believe this, allegedly. Remember, the idea of a man with a private island where elites went to abuse kids was once an absurd conspiracy too.
I mean, I don't want to be melodramatic, but it's almost like a death cult.
It's a death cult. No, that is exactly right. It's essentially the extinctionists. Like, it's in the limit, it is that they're propagating the extinction of humanity and civilization. And there's some people who are like most of the time it's implicit. They don't but sometimes it's explicit. Like there was a guy on the front page of the New York Times who literally has the thing called the extinctionist movement, and he was quoted on the front page of the New York Times as saying, "There are 8 billion people in the world, but it would be better if there were none."
Another week, another leaked video from the World Economic Forum featuring Klaus Schwab's advisors casually discussing their plans to depopulate the planet. According to these 2 WEF stooges, all religious groups are opposed to the World Economic Forum because religions want more souls and the WEF wants less on the planet.
So in the session we just attended here at the Economic Forum, I think there was a sense of relief actually in your frankness. You brought up some issues that others are reluctant to bring up.
Always. All the religious groups are against me because I'm talking about population. They want more souls. I want less on the planet.
At what point do we stop and say enough? How many times does the World Economic Forum have to declare their sinister intentions before the world stops and listens? Klaus Schwab's right-hand man, Yuval Noah Harari, who has a history of saying the quiet part out loud, recently admitted what many people have long suspected. According to Harari, who is promoting his new book, the big political question of the 21st century is, what do we need so many humans for? And it's not even the first time Yuval Noah Harari has let slip regarding their plans for humanity. He recently declared that the WEF considers the vast majority of the human population to be obsolete, useless, and redundant. According to Harari, so-called common people are right to be fearful of a future in which they will be made redundant. The WEF advisor assessed the widespread anxiety among common people as being rooted in a fear of being left behind in a future run by smart people. Such fears are justified according to Harari, who spoke on behalf of the elites and confirmed, we just don't need the vast majority of you.
If you go back to the middle of the 20th century, and it doesn't matter if you're in the United States with Roosevelt, or if you're in Germany with Hitler, or if you're in the USSR with Stalin, and you think about building the future, then your building materials are those millions of people who are working hard in the factories, in the farms, the soldiers you need them. You don't have any kind of future without them. And now fast forward to the early 21st century, when we just don't need the vast majority of the population.
Because
the future is about developing more and more sophisticated technology, like, again, artificial intelligence, bioengineering. Most people don't contribute anything to that, except perhaps for their data. And whatever people are still doing, which is useful, these technologies increasingly will make redundant and will make it possible to replace the people.
Harari's comments are deeply disturbing because when they are placed in context with comments by other WEF advisors and affiliates like Bill Gates, it becomes clear that they have disablement and depopulation on their mind. And the UN is working hand in glove with the WEF. Here is Cristiana Figueres letting the cat out of the bag about the plans of the elite.
Isn't it true that stopping the rise in population would be one of the biggest levers in driving the rise in greenhouse gases? Is that
well, I mean, we all know we expect 9 billion, right, by 2050. So yes, obviously less people would exert less pressure on the natural resources, and that's
so is
just
9
math.
billion a foregone conclusion? That's like baked in, done, no way to change that.
Well, there again, there's pressure in the system to go toward that. We can definitely change those, right? We can definitely change those numbers, and we really should make every effort to change the numbers because we are already exceeding the planetary carrying capacity today.
Who had a company called Lucifer Publishing to write out the philosophical underpinnings of the United Nations. She turned it into something called Lucis Trust, which still to this day exists at the United Nations as a meditation room with a big black cube in the middle and 1,000 points of light coming through the roof. And she wrote the 10 rules for the one world government which still exists at the United Nations today. And they are: take God and prayer out of education. Number 2, reduce parental authority over children. Number 3, destroy the traditional Christian family structure. Number 4, if sex is free, make abortion easy and legal. 5, make divorce easy and legal, free people of the concept of traditional marriage. 6, make homosexuality the alternative lifestyle. 7, debase art, make it run mad. 8, use media to promote and change mindset. 9, create an interfaith movement without God. And 10, get governments to make all these laws and get the churches to endorse them. Let's just say the one thing not welcome at the United Nations is God.
So if I ever have to have an abortion, you bet I'm gonna have a fucking party. I'm like gonna have like cupcakes with like aborted fetuses drawn on them, lots of snacks, I'm gonna come up with some sort of cocktail and call it the aborted fetus, and me and all of my friends are just gonna hang out, eat a bunch of yummy dead fetus themed food, get drunk, and have a great old time.
Donuts? Those are so bad for you. Oh no, are they moldy? I mean, are they poisoned? Are you allergic? No, I'm just saying. You're judging my food choices based on a false standard of health again, aren't you? Guilty.
Diet culture, fat phobia, and systems of oppression have created false hierarchies of food, and it shows up everywhere.
For instance, harmful thought patterns like earning food through exercising, or that dessert is the reward for the punishment of eating vegetables.
Remember that you do not need to earn food.
We are all incorrectly taught from a young age that our size, and therefore the foods that we eat, are markers of our self-worth. Moralizing food can lead to harmful relationships with food and disordered eating.
Instead of focusing on good and bad choices, try to approach food with neutrality in mind.
The only foods that are bad for you are foods that contain allergens, poisons, and contaminants, or food that is spoiled or is otherwise inedible.
Eat without guilt, regardless of what society says.
According to the mainstream in 2020, obesity is healthy. The vaccines are not causing people to keel over and die, and abortion is love. George Orwell warned us about these times. He said they would convince us that war is peace. How right he was.
Matrix. You're probably wondering, what are these black cubes What do they symbolize? Why are they in every major city around the world? I'm here to tell you that this black cube represents the cube of Saturn, the very cube found on the North Pole of Saturn. The truth is far stranger than you might believe. In the occult realm, Saturn is known as Father Time, and its symbology is evident everywhere you look. The planets aren't what you believe they are. They're not what you've been told. Behind these 7 energies that we call planets, there lies a far deeper meaning. The elites in power seem to worship Saturn.
They are not elected, they are selected. Okay, they take certain oaths and pledges that they go do, certain rituals that they do, so that they are in this cult forever. Their allegiance, President Ramaphosa's allegiance is not to the South African people. His allegiance is to the cult. You need to understand that. All the presidents of the world, they belong to this cult. Whatever nationality they got, you playing me and you playing against this race thing, it's all bullshit. People need to be aware of that. These are the enemies, the globalists. We need to get them. This is what they are doing. They're starting to poison your kids. What you gonna do?